Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this man back. He's the boss over the Article 3 Project, article3project.org. It's Mike Davis. Mike, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing well, and thank you for having me.
I was doing a live TikTok last night, and people kept asking, who is the one pick in the upcoming cabinet, some director of something, some secretary of something that you don't like? I couldn't think of one. I thought this, so far, I think they're batting 1,000. You agree?
I agree. President Trump is hitting grand slam after grand slam after grand slam. And I would say this to the Senate. The president got elected by an overwhelming landslide, 312 electoral votes. It is the Senate's job to provide its constitutional advice and consent on his nominees, and for his executive branch picks, particularly the president's cabinet picks, so long as they are qualified, the Senate should confirm his picks, right? And there should be a presumption that qualified executive branch picks, but particularly cabinet picks, are confirmed by the Senate. It should not matter at all whether the Senate has a policy disagreement with that nominee or if they have a personal disagreement with that nominee. They should get confirmed. And the only way they should not get confirmed is if they are disqualified, and it is on the accuser of that nominee to prove with clear and convincing evidence why that qualified nominee is disqualified because of their personal misconduct. We're not going to play the game again like we did before the Kavanaugh confirmation, where there's this Me Too presumption of guilt. There is a presumption that qualified nominees should get confirmed unless the accuser proves they are disqualified.
It's all pretty disgusting what they're doing. You see the media is colluding with the left. People like Adam Schiff, who still, by the way, 2 days ago said there was Russia collusion in 2016. That's how nuts this guy is. But the media is so disgusting. Tulsi Gabbard is an asset of Putin. You've got Pete Hegseth as a sexual assault artist, and don't leave your teenage daughters with Matt Gaetz. Mike, they have no couth. They've got no integrity. They're sick people. So how do you counterbalance that? Because there are weak-kneed Republicans in the Senate that will wobble, and they'll be afraid to say yes. What do you do with that?
Look, I was the chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee. I helped President Trump confirm a record number of his judges, along with Justice Department officials and others, including the Kavanaugh confirmation, which was highly contentious. It is the accuser's job to come forward, to testify publicly, to present the evidence. They can't hide behind letters. They can't hide behind lawyers. They have to come forward and present their testimony and other evidence and be subject to cross-examination. And that's just how the system works in America. And if you have a qualified nominee, you can't take them out with these bogus allegations, anonymous allegations, the nonsense that they played before. Put up or shut up.
I should probably know this. It's Mike Davis, MRDDMIA. Go and follow him over on all the social media. Article3project.org. I should know this. Do you need a simple majority to confirm or a supermajority?
You need a simple majority. You need 51 senators to confirm a nominee, any nominee, or you need 50 senators in the VP casting the tie-breaking vote. Republicans have 53 Senate seats, and fortunately, unlike the last time when I was there, we don't have a bunch of squishy, weak Republican senators. We have pretty solid senators across the board. We have at least 51 solid Senate Republican votes. And so if you're going to play these games with these highly qualified nominees, if you're going to try to do the character assassination, you better come forward with very specific, very credible, clear, and convincing evidence, or it's not going to work.
It is Mike Davis. Talk to me about recess appointments, because we've seen that presidents through history have done this. In fact, recent presidents have done a lot of these. If, in fact, there's some issue where they try to block somebody from getting appointed and confirmed, what is a recess appointment? Is the Senate is in recess and Trump asks them to come back and say yes, or he can just say, you're now the acting something because they're at recess?
Well, how the recess appointments, look, the president has the right to nominate. The Senate must provide its advice and consent and vote to confirm, then the president appoints. And I'll tell you, if the Senate is going to obstruct President Trump's nominees like it did the first time under the guise of the Russian collusion hoax, if the Senate is going to do that again, the president should use recess appointments. But I think it gives the president very strong leverage to say that, look, You better have your confirmation hearings. You better have your votes in a fair and expeditious manner on my qualified nominees, or we're going to resort to this constitutional option of recess appointments. When the Senate is in recess, the president can appoint his people until the end of that Congress. So if the Senate is in recess, then the president can appoint, for example, his attorney general via recess appointment for 2 years.
It is Mike Davis. Mike, I appreciate the information. Again, I should know this, but this is why I have you on to teach me stuff. Does Thune take over as the majority leader now, or does he have to wait till the new Congress in the beginning of the year?
Well, they have to wait till the new Congress is organized. I think it's January 3rd is when they organize. Yeah. The Senate is unlike the House, the Senate's an ongoing body. And right. So on January 3rd, when what they'll do is they'll have Thune will become the majority leader on January 3rd, I believe is the date.
So the reason why I asked the question is, you know this, right now Biden and this administration are cramming through these judicial nominees, and the Senate's rolling over. I mean, why are we seating anybody? Wait a month. Wait a month and a few days. Why seat anybody now as they cram them through? You're going to have a logjam of liberal nut jobs on the bench.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me that these Senate Republicans are worried about confirming President Trump's cabinet picks, yet they are doing almost nothing to stop President Biden's lifetime appointment of left-wing radicals to the federal bench. Look, President Biden has been trying to get through a record number of judges to the lower courts.
Right.
He's very close. And we are at the bottom of the barrel. We are at the end of the line. We are at the worst of the worst. And Senate Republicans must do everything they can to stop these lifetime appointments to the federal bench. These are left-wing radicals. Senate Republicans, number one, actually need to show up to work. They need to force post-cloture debates on these radical judicial nominees. For circuit judges, it's 30 hours of post-cloture debate. For district court judges, it's 4 hours of post-cloture debate. That's a lot of time in the Senate. Look, Chuck Schumer understands that he has until January 3rd to accomplish what he's trying to accomplish, and then he's done. So they're trying to jam through everything they can. Senate Republicans need to make this as difficult as possible, because the American people spoke overwhelmingly on November 5th, and the American people want President Trump and Senate Republicans appointing constitutionalist judges and stop the assembly line of President Biden and Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats from appointing these radical left-wing Marxist judges to these lifetime appointments. Senate Republicans need to show up. They need to force debate on the floor. They need to force votes.
Can you filibuster in something like this, or is that only for appropriation stuff?
You can't filibuster, because once you invoke cloture, then you get 30 hours of post-cloture debate for circuit judges and 4 hours of post-cloture debate for district court judges. But that is a lot of floor time. If you make Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats spend 30 hours, that's 2 days, sometimes even 3 days of post-cloture debate on any of these circuit judges, Chuck Schumer's not going to put them up for a vote. You need to grind the Senate to a halt on these radical lifetime judicial appointments.
It is Mike Davis, article3project.org. Go see what he does and support everything they do. It's an amazing outfit. He's the boss over there. Great attorney as well. So let's talk about the New York cases. I don't know what Mershon just did. Did Alvin Bragg just really tell the world we're going to wait to sentence him until after he's out of office again?
Look,
it felt like that's what he said.
It's a ridiculous case. They are delaying this thing for 4 years, and then apparently they think they're going to sentence Trump to prison after 4 years. Look, the Trump, I imagine the Trump legal team is going to go for a mistrial immediately, including to the Supreme Court of the United States. Get this case thrown out immediately, and then while Trump is president, they can't try him again. And then if Alvin Bragg and Matthew Colangelo and Judge Mershon want to do this nonsense again in 4 years, try it again, right? But Trump has been elected president. All of this lawfare, all of this the election interference did not work. It backfired.
Right.
It backfired spectacularly. You're welcome from the Article 3 project. We'll turn lemons into lemonade. All of this lawfare needs to go away and go away forever.
I just want to understand the process, though, Mike. When we watch this case, in any case, I always thought the accused had all the advantages. That it was really the burden was up to the state or the Fed, whoever it is that's bringing the charges. They had to prove everything beyond a shadow of a doubt, and then final judgment should be speedy, like the trial was speedy. So do the final judgment, let him appeal. Then this does in fact go away. Are they really allowed to kick the can down the block for 4 years and say we'll adjudicate him then? How is that American justice?
Look, I think that this is the way for these Biden Democrat prosecutors and witnesses and judges to try to save face and cut bait. They know they lost politically. They brought their allegations and their evidence and they presented it to the American people, and the American people on November 5th rendered their verdict. And the verdict was overwhelming. It was powerful. It's President Trump is going back to the White House. President Trump's not going to Rikers Island.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I just hate that they get away with just relaxing for 4 years and then try to do it all again once he gets out. It's Mike Davis, Article3Project.org. Follow him, MRDDMIA, over on social media, Truth, and on X. Let me ask you about the Supreme Court, because you're an expert on this. I know that constitutionally it doesn't say 9 justices. But that's been assumed as the norm for a very long time. Had Kamala Harris won, thank God she didn't, she was talking about making it 15. And that means add 6 radical justices. So what provisions are there in place that will leave the number at 9? I know that the Congress doesn't have to vote on it. You can just do it, I think, by fiat. Can we codify that it's 9 and it can't change?
Well, there's a statute that sets the number of Supreme Court justices, and we've had 9 Supreme Court justices since 1869, since right after the Civil War. But now that Republicans have won a comfortable majority in the Senate, and we've kept the House of Representatives, and we just won back the White House, maybe these Democrats really want to start talking about court packing again? Do they want 6 more constitutional justices on the Supreme Court? Let's have this discussion now. I mean, they want to play this game. Let's play this game.
And let's talk about the popular vote, where Trump would get even more electoral, college votes had we gone to the popular vote only, which is what they wanted, which forces the entire college has to go a certain way, depending on the number at the end of the day. So all of this trial balloon crap that they tossed up there can blow up in their faces. But fortunately or unfortunately, conservatives and Republicans are nicer than they are.
I'm not. I mean, other conservatives and Republicans might be nicer than they are, but I'm certainly not. If they want to look at, let's talk about court packing now. Let's put 6 more Sam Alitos on the Supreme Court. Yeah. I'm all for it, right? Or 5 more, or whatever they want. Let's do it. Let's play their games. Let's give them a bit of their dead chicken strategy, right? Where they want to do this lawfare against President Trump, this Republican lawfare against President Trump, where they tried to bankrupt him, throw him in prison for life, throw him off the ballot, take off his head, throw his top aides in prison, throw his supporters on January 6th in prison. Yeah. They want to pack the Supreme Court. They want to do all this radical stuff. I'm not hearing much about court packing after November 5th.
No, I'm with you. And again, you're right. Do what they say they would have done, or else they're going to do it if they get power again, and it's all very cyclical. MRDDMIA over on X and on Truth, and go and support the Article3Project.org. It's Mike Davis. Let me ask you about all this voting crap. You and I both know that constitutionally it says that the legislatures of the states will decide how general elections are going to be prosecuted. I get it. I understand that. Is there some mechanism legally where the central government can say, it's got to be uniform, though? Because we're here now more than 2 weeks after the election, and Pennsylvania's still counting votes, Mike. And they're counting votes that aren't even legal, even though the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania said, you have to stop counting these votes. The governor of the state, Shapiro, says, I'm cool with it. You've got county commissioners saying, I'm going to break the law on purpose. So is there some function the central government in Washington can have saying, look, you can't do all this stuff. I get it. The Constitution says that you make the rules, but the rules can't break the law.
Yeah, I mean, it's called the Elections Clause in the U.S. Constitution. State legislatures set their election rules for their states for federal elections, but Congress can override the states for federal elections. Congress has supremacy on election rules for federal elections, and Congress should pass election reform to make sure that non-citizens can never vote in our federal elections, to make sure that we have voter ID, to make sure that we go to paper ballots, to make sure that we don't have election season that people need to show up in person with an ID to vote unless they have a very good excuse not to, and make sure that we count votes on election day instead of waiting 2 weeks after election day. Congress absolutely has that power, and Congress should exercise that power under the Elections Clause of the U.S. Constitution.
Well, Nancy Pelosi tried to do that with H.R. 1 or something when she got the gavel back, and we all said no because her rules were going to be you could drop it. A drop box can be Mike Davis drop box in your front yard, and you could put a ballot in there. So we weren't for that. But am I hearing you right? The federal government, if Congress has supremacy over the rules of general elections in this country, can they really institute a national ID law?
Yeah, for not all elections, for federal elections. The Elections Clause gives Congress the power to set all the time, place, and manner of federal elections. And so absolutely Congress has that power. The states have that power too, but Congress can override them.
So in other words, this Congress coming up literally can fix the election system.
Yes. I mean, you need 60 votes in the Senate to do that, but there is such overwhelming support. It's like 80% of Americans support prohibition against non-citizen voting to prove citizenship before you vote, voter ID, paper ballots, getting rid of election season, election day. There is overwhelming support for this among the American people, and so Congress should push this. Congress should pass this. We have to have election reform in this country.
MRDDMIA over on X and on Truth. Maybe 30 seconds on this, Mike. As the Congress comes in and they're trying to fix what's going wrong, as you're watching everything Trump says he's going to do, how much of that has to be by executive action? Like the first day, is he signing 100 executive actions, or will he go through the Congress and make sure it's codified in law? That's always a very gray area for me.
It just depends on if he's exercising legislative power or executive power. He has the right to exercise executive power through executive orders, and legislative power has to be through Congress. For example, exercising his Congress and the Constitution gives the president the power to secure our border, and so the president can issue executive orders to secure our border. Right.
Okay.
So that's what needs to happen.
And listen, I hope that he does everything in his power without being a king. Nobody wants that. And certainly you've got Congress on the right side as well, and the Supreme Court. Going to be an interesting 2 years. Mike, I appreciate you coming on today. Incredible knowledge on a wealth of topics. Let's do it again soon, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Article3project.org. Go there, and we're back after this. Stay here.